All right, welcome to Align Trading. Going over today's SPY recap and live analysis before taking a look at what to be watching into tomorrow. So first thing that I explained in the pre-market brief for Discord members today was to be watching for our 20-day moving average that we were still needing to see turn into resistance if we were looking to short this with this head and shoulder that we can see forming, as well as that inverse cup to that 20, and we'll go over this on the 1 minute as well and show you why this did not work. But we did close that cup to it, but could not see it turn to resistance, and that orange selling continuation continued to bring us lower. And I also explained that we have to be paying attention, that if we do not break this 20, there is only one place that we will go, and that is to the 5-day moving average for this retest right here. And you can see how we grab that liquidity that I also explained to be paying attention that we built on Monday. So you can see how that formed, right? And the only time that selling actually came in was once we retested that 5-day at 591 here towards the end of the day. Finally see some orange selling right there, but right, it's still within this yellow and blue controlled selling, and we may be looking to regain that 5-day, and then the rally is back on. Something I also want to talk about as well is with the news that was pre-market, some Ukraine and Russia tension or whatever that had us down a bit in the pre-market trading. We got that recovery, right? You can see we opened back above that low, so that was your first clue. You also had this 20-day to be watching for another confluence, and then even then you can see, right, you would be able to see if a handle formed after that initial move up in the morning. And now I'm going to kind of talk about what was going on here early morning and my, I guess, mistake. It wasn't a mistake. I just didn't take the trade and then did not chase this right here on the way up. But you can see here in the morning, right, as I'm talking about with this 20-day, it was right here, and we are just chopping right around trying to find if we are going to form that resistance. We initially do lose it, forming that head and shoulder, but snap back right back into it. And you can see how we start forming, right, this inverse head and shoulder. But even then, right, look at that. There's just horrible continuation, choppy, nothing going on quite yet. And I'm explaining to members that you have to be paying attention. If we are going to form something, you need to be watching us lose the 20-day. And right here, I was looking for us to form that. Would be a great move to the downside right there with that inverse cup and handle as well. It did not form for me. You can see how we start forming that cup and handle right there within this blue. I personally missed this right here on the way up and then was looking for some sort of pullback, maybe something a little bit larger to take. And you can see, right, it just started going like this, grinding higher. I did not get involved. I explained that I would be looking for a short if it did form. No problem. I will look to take this to the downside to that 20-day, as I explained with this handle right there, if we do want to form that. But I'm not going to chase this, even though we do know where the target is going to be. I also did not get this move end of day, which I will show you right here also. That was a lot better of a structure if you were actually looking to trade this. You can see how we form that inverse head and shoulder, as well as that beautiful cup and handle. But I had to log off for the day, unfortunately, and did not get to trade this anyways. So, I mean, as you can see, right, it's pretty straightforward as long as you're not trying to force any trades right here. If you did get involved on this controlled selling on the way up right here, you could be looking to get involved. You can see it is controlled selling, but it's just mainly letting those runners work, right? If you got an entry down here, those runners would have been working well until, something larger like this does set up. But even then, this does take quite some time before we actually do get that move up to the 5-day to retest it. It was inevitable. It was just a matter of when. You can see that we are not just going to head straight up to it. And then you see this tapering. So if you are in runners, right, letting them work until it actually does start to form that head and shoulder to head back down to that 20-day. Same thing right here. If you were looking for this short to form, well, you would be wanting to see that inverse cup and handle. Right here, there was a small short if you were paying attention to it right there with that inverse cup and handle. You can also see it right here, but again, all of that just for this. Same thing here if you're trying to short this, just because you see this, got to pay attention, right? It is that blue and yellow controlled selling still, and you see that purple buying continuation that brought us up in the morning right there, even though we are tapering within this algorithm right here. So you got to be seeing that continuation in order for this to form. Otherwise, right, continuing to see how this is forming, cup and handle right there as well. That's another handle. So just got to be paying attention to these things. And there is that continuation. So again, before I had to leave, you can see how I'm explaining, right? We are looking for that retest of 590 and then ultimately that 5-day moving average as well off of that inverse head and shoulder. And then if we regain it, could see even higher. Did not happen. And I explained that there would be a possible short trying to form here, and you can see how that tried to form, but we're able to hold this as support right there after closing this inverse cup here at the 5-day moving average. Can see how that starts to form, that inverse cup and handle. Close this larger one, but at the end of the day, there is no continuation to the downside as we are trying to see if we break out of this algorithm. Now going over what to be watching into tomorrow. Same thing, gotta be paying attention to the 5 and 20-day moving average still. As I explained in yesterday's video, we are between these and they will act as magnets and you have to pay attention. You can see, right, in one day we touched the bottom and the top, and now we are looking for this to either form as resistance to now head back to the 20. Otherwise, we can see that support off of this 20-day, right, regain that 5-day, and we are back to this uptrend, especially in time with NVIDIA earnings tomorrow after the close. So this will be a catalyst for where we go. What we'll be watching for tomorrow is we are now back above that 590. Want to see if that can hold, and then we do form, right, that handle regaining this 5-day moving average, and then could look to close that gap right here, which could happen in the overnight session. You never know. And in that case, then you could be looking for that 5-day to form as resistance or some sort of support, right? And then get that continuation above. Just a few possibilities. Could also start with a gap down tomorrow off of this 5-day. And in that case, right, you could be looking, if we are starting to taper right here and are continuing to form that handle, want to see us forming that head and shoulder, and then ultimately that inverse cup back down to the 20-day moving average right here, and then resistance if there were to be a dump like we talked about, and then target would be that bottom Bollinger unless we found support somewhere down here towards 580. Zooming out here for the last thing, again, right, you got to pay attention to the larger structure here. You can see how if we form that resistance off of the 5-day, we'll be looking to turn that 20 into resistance as well. Otherwise, this is just a pullback within this blue and yellow, and can see how we could form that inverse head and shoulder once we regain that 5-day. So just be paying attention, blue and yellow controlled selling, or if we are forming this handle with the green and white. Very straightforward here. Do not get trapped in between. Understand what is going on. That is all for the video. So thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see members in the morning.